Today I'm going to answer a question from a student who goes by the name of Jack Oz. And his question is on the video about why don't batteries discharge when we touch them end to end. And you can see that video linked in the description below and up here. And the question is, I have a follow-up question though. Will there be an initial, quote, spark, unquote, of current, like lightning, when the two batteries first touch? Not because they are batteries, but because they might have a different initial voltage. Upon connection with the conductor, the plus of one battery should have the same voltage as the minus of the other. Can we state in general that a circuit is not required for current to flow, just a difference in voltage? Is a circuit always needed for sustained current? So the original question was, if I take two batteries, positive, negative, and I hook the positive side of this battery to the negative side of that battery, why doesn't this battery just discharge into that battery? And the reason is that I cannot get current to go into this battery unless I get current out the other end. And if there's no place for that current to go, then there will be no exchange of current between the two batteries. So what I have to do is have a circuit come around, and now current can flow out of here back into here to replace what comes out of here, and that can flow across there, and now I can get a current to flow through the whole circuit. And I think what Jack is asking, well, what about when I make the first initial connection? And from a purist standpoint, I think the answer is going to be no. But from a logical standpoint, there must be a possibility that there's something that has to equalize when you first connect those together, and could there be some current flow from one to the other in the beginning? I think if we think of this as like a couple of capacitors, and let's say this one has a pretty strong charge, negative to positive, and this has no charge whatsoever. When I hook those two together, isn't it logical that some of those electrons will move over to there and give this one a charge? And it stands to reason that it would, except of course, to give that a charge, I need to have electrons leave the other side. Boy, it's a kind of a difficult answer, but logic dictates that something would equalize between them. So there could initially be some kind of a flow which would make this more positive, and that give us a more of a negative charge. So I think the answer is logically yes. I think from a pure theoretical standpoint, we would say no, it doesn't. But it seems like something probably would happen. But I really can't give that a definitive answer because I would have to get into a laboratory with some sensitive instruments and actually do some testing. Logically, it sounds like there must be something happen at the beginning, just something to equalize the amount of electrons on one or the other. It'd be interesting to see what happens if we could do some experiments on that particular question. But also the question is a circuit always needed for sustained current? You betcha. But to have a sustained current, let's just look at these capacitors again. That means I have a current continually going from there to there. So electrons continually flowing from there to there, and I've got to run out eventually unless I have a whole circuit where I can get new electrons. I cannot have a sustained current. So I can push electrons from one side to the other, and this made me just think there's a circuit that does that actually quite continually. And the circuit is a piece of wire. And we can get a current to flow in there. Let's put a battery up here for just a moment. So there's a negative side. We are going to get a rush of electrons into that wire until the voltage is equalized. But another thing that's going to happen is that those electrons are going to flow all the way basically to the end and bunch up, and we're going to get a voltage there, negative to positive. And now if we pull that battery away, what's going to happen is those electrons are going to want to turn around and go back to this way, and they're going to bunch up here, and they're going to end up going back and forth and back and forth. And if you've watched my other videos, I've just described an antenna. Have electrons going back and forth, but they bunch up at one end and then bunch up at the other end. And in the process, that creates a magnetic field that builds and collapses, which generates electromagnetic radiation that leaves the antenna. So yeah, if that was in free space, we would have a sustained current without a complete circuit. So if we keep feeding in the energy and keep that going, because as we radiate energy out, we're going to lose energy here, so we have to keep feeding that in there, we can keep that going and we don't have a circuit. Or do we? Well, actually, we have capacitive coupling, coupling from there to there, and we have inductive coupling also in the middle. So we actually have a circuit that looks pretty much like this. Our circuit really looks pretty much like this. I believe it's mostly a parallel circuit. And then we are feeding our energy in from here. There's our transmitter, so this is the antenna, that's the transmitter. And even though we don't have a connection between there and there, we do have capacitive coupling, so we do have energy flowing there. So there we still have a circuit. So we can play with this till the cows come home, but we still keep finding out that there really is a circuit, even if it doesn't appear to be a circuit. So I think the answer is to have a sustained current, no, you have to have a circuit. And even if it looks like you don't have a circuit, like I say, in the way of an antenna where it just looks like a piece of straight wire, at least your simplest antenna, actually we do have capacitive and inductive coupling, which does actually create a complete circuit. So we have sustained current, although it's alternating current, it's still a complete circuit. So yes, initially, when we first connect those two batteries together, it stands to logic that there may be some equalization that goes on, but it can't be sustained. Once it's equalized, no current will continue to flow. And to get current to continue to flow, we have to have, let's throw a resistor in there just for good measure, we have to have a complete circuit to keep it going. If you found this video useful and informative, please give me a thumbs up down below. It really helps the channel. And subscribe, because that not only informs you when I put new videos up, but it really helps the channel also. And a big thank you to my patrons at Patreon. I could not make these videos without your support. If you want to help me put these videos online and keep real vocational education free at vocatomy.net, you can go to patreon.com/join/vocatomy and pledge your support. And again, a big thank you to my patrons who make this possible, and a big thank you to everyone for watching.